Hello and welcome to the last word on Spurs. We do hope you're keeping very, very safe and well. Thank you so much for joining us as we are back with you to look ahead, of course, to Manchester United to come. Of course, Tottenham Hotspur's first game under Ange Postecoglou back at home, of course, at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And look, of course, ahead of a big, big week in store for the Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust this upcoming Saturday, ahead of that matchday ticket price demonstration, which I'm delighted to say we're welcoming back two returning faces to last word on Spurs. A face that we haven't seen for a very, very long time. Delighted to have her back alongside us, and one that, of course, we saw last week, as he's currently in what I would say is an interesting location, which we'll come on to for sure during this last one on Spurs. But back alongside me, of course, he's our crazy train instructor, conductor, the runner. I've got Lee McQueen back on last one on Spurs. Lee, how are you, bud?
Yeah, I'm really good, mate. Really, really good. Evening, everybody. Evening to our esteemed guests as well. I cannot wait to get into tonight's show with the brilliant Kat and Anthoulla, of course. And also with you, Rick. I ain't seen you for a few days. So looking forward to getting involved. And
I'm testing out here as I can our audio. I'm going to ask Lee very quickly. Lee, is that better on my audio or still about the same?
Your audio is not great.
Okay, well, we are, and I can't even hear what they're saying at the moment. I am going to try and get our audio going here from our bit of technical difficulties. But let me introduce the guys that we've got back on this last one on Spurs. First up, we've got the vice chair of the Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust that is currently sitting outside Croydon Hospital as it gets darker and darker and darker. And again, that should tell you the dedication that these wonderful people give to our football club just to see us in a better place. So I'd like to have Anthoulla back on the show. Anthoulla, keep talking to me for a couple of seconds so I can try and sort out my technical difficulties.
No worries. Oh, thank you for having me. I'm really sorry about my location, guys. I'm in the wind outside Croydon Hospital because I'm here for the night, because I'm here for another 4 weeks, basically working at the hospital. So, yeah, and their Wi-Fi is absolutely awful. So this is the only area that I can really get signal and I don't want to mess with it. So very sorry. But lovely to be back.
It's brilliant to have you back. Absolutely brilliant. And we can't wait to get into to it as well. And we've got a returning face as well. Why Rick sorts out his mic in the wonderful, and I've missed you, Kat, as well. I know we see each other quite a lot in the stadium, to be fair. But we've got the brilliant, the wonderful Kat Lord back. Kat, how you getting on? Oh, unmute your mic.
I've unmuted myself.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good to go.
I need to go back to webinar and Zoom school. I'm really good. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be back on again. It's been a while. It's been over a year at least. So that's a good amount of time, isn't it? Yeah,
exactly. It is. I think Rick's had a baby since we last had you on, and you've made some kitchen improvements. I know every time you was on before, everybody always mentioned how good your kitchen is, and we are loving the kitchen. So
new water filter. It's amazing. New appliances, people. Exactly. So I've been helping Anth with the ticketing campaign, which is why I'm on tonight. I'm not on the trust board anymore. So I'll just clarify that for any confusion. So for people who haven't been following that closely, and I don't blame you, you've got better things to do with your time. I was on the trust board for a whole decade. Looking back now, I must have been absolutely mental. I've no idea how I did it. But anyway, I was on from 2013 until this February. Stepped off the board at the AGM in February. I then went on to the Football Supporters Association National Council in June. So the Football Supporters Association are the umbrella organisation for football fans in England, basically. So the Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust are a member of the FSA, for example. So stepped onto that in June, lead their relationship with the Football Association, and I'm also now a board director at Football Supporters Europe. So they are the recognised body who deal with UEFA. So all of the European issues. So whilst I'm not doing this at a domestic level at Tottenham anymore, I'm doing it nationally and internationally, in fact. So I'm still bothering people a lot. But there we go. I'm not sure if that's a compliment, the Kat Slater thing. I think I'm far classier. But anyway, John, we'll talk about that later.
Guys, I'm going to quickly try again. Is this any better or am I about the same in terms of my mic?
No,
any better?
You're about the same.
No. Okay, guys, what I'm going to do, I'm going to hand over to Lee and I'll come back in a second whilst I try and sort out this absolute mess. Lee, we'll start with you, my friend.
No problem at all. So, look, fantastic to have you both back on. And let's come over to you quickly if we can. So, what are the issues that we're facing at the moment with ticket pricing at Spurs? What fans are campaigning for? Why does it matter? Along with sharing the planning for Saturday and how fans can get involved. Anthoulla, just tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so there's 3 big issues here. First one is that the ticket pricing has gone up from matchday pricing. They didn't need to do that. It was unnecessary. Matchday ticketing pricing is a very, very small part of the revenue that comes through the club. So we calculated this, and it was about 2.4% of their matchday revenue, and that's actually an overestimate because the matchday revenue also includes catering, so food and beverage, and 0.6% of their total revenue income. That is absolute peanuts. They did not need to raise those prices for the sake of 7,000 tickets every game for 19 games. That's number one. Number 2, there's been a massive erosion of concessionary areas in the stadium. So we've basically been seeing that people have not been able to access their senior discounts. And actually, I've been seeing as well a couple of comments saying that people aren't able to access juniors as well when they go in. So it seems like the club are limiting, and they have actually admitted this now, that they are subject to availability per block. We don't know exactly what that ratio is or how they calculate that, but they are limiting the number of concessions per block, and that's for season tickets and that's for matchday pricing. And we don't think that's appropriate at all. There's already very reduced areas of the ground that have concessionary areas anyway. So now it's getting more and more eroded, and it's unacceptable, really. So we need to be looking at a better sustainable structure for ticketing that allows concessionary rates across the stadium. Third one is we're very concerned that actually season ticket prices will be next. If you look at the last season, they raised premium season ticket prices, they've raised matchday prices. The only thing they froze was season ticket prices, and they were going to raise them. They couldn't because of what was going on at the time. We had the Paratici stuff, we had the Conte stuff, and the media were actually saying that season tickets were going to go up. There was a massive frenzy. It would have been PR suicide if they did raise them. So we are concerned that those season ticket prices will go up if we don't get on the back foot of it now and get everyone campaigning. And those are our 3 things. And that kind of leads nicely into what we're trying to achieve, which is a full reversal of the matchday price increases that have happened, a genuine commitment to fan consultation to come up with a sustainable ticketing strategy going forwards, including concessionary areas, and a commitment to no further increases across any ticketing areas in the following season 24-25. And those are the areas.
And just quickly, just before we come back over to Rick, I think he's sorted his mic out now. How do the fans get involved on Saturday? Like it's a big deal on Saturday. Saturday at 3:45, I think it is, isn't it? Outside of the stadium, outside of the ticket office. How do they get involved? Like if you're like me, I'm in Spain at the moment, so I can't be there. What's the ways that people can get involved on the day, but also before the day as well, Anthoulla?
Sure. So tomorrow I will be posting a series of tweets to show that. But essentially what you can do is just spread the message across social media about stop exploiting loyalty, stop ticket price rises. Share your stories with people. The stories that have been going on Twitter have been absolutely incredible to actually show a reflection of what is going on with our fan base and how people are being priced out. Another thing I've created is an Instagram basically filter frame that I will post links to tomorrow. It's on Facebook as well, on Meta basically, that people can use on the day, before the day. It's a stop exploiting loyalty frame, so people can take photos. On the day, if you're not with us, take photos with signs saying stop exploiting loyalty, stop ticket price rises. Send us pictures of wherever you are in the world. Join us on the day. We'll retweet them all. We'll be on socials, even if you can't make the game. So there's loads of ways that people can get involved. Another thing you can do is tweet the club, message the sponsors, tell them to completely disassociate from this exploitation of loyalty. There's loads of things people can do to get involved, and I really encourage you to do so because I understand a lot of people aren't going to be able to make the game.
Guys, can I just try and come in there? I do. Okay.
Rick is back. That's perfect, Ricky. You are back, my man.
I am back. That's fantastic. Where are we?
We're going over to Cat, mate. We're going over to Cat.
We're going to go to Cat. What I will say is, can I just say the absolute effort, bless her, to make this work. The only thing I will say I'm a little bit concerned about is that we might be losing Ant throughout when she's talking because the wind is so loud. So I don't know, and I just feel bad for you. I don't know whether there's any other locations you've got there or anywhere else you can go. But I must just be conscious that for our listeners and audio, for Anne, bless her, she's, like I say, outside Croydon Hospital at the moment. Let's hope the wind does settle down because, bless her, like I say, she's riding a late shift for us. Lee, let me hand over to you, mate. I'll let you come across to Kat and then we'll go from there.
Okay, cool. So, Kat, can you explain what the trust did previously on ticket pricing and why they've called a demo now? What's different this time, Kat? I know you're heavily involved, as you mentioned right at the start of the show, in previously and over the 10 years, done a phenomenal job with the trust. But what's different now this time around, Kat?
Yeah, I mean, thank you for saying that. It's very kind of you. So I led ticketing alongside Anthoulla, and then obviously Anth's gone on to bigger and better things since I departed. And we were heavily involved in ticketing for the entirety of that decade. In fact, we were one of the most active trusts in the country on ticketing throughout the entire supporter movement. And I think, as was often the case while I was chairing the organisation, we were really immersed in it, in every aspect of the fan experience. And so we were often slightly ahead of ordinary fans. I don't mean that in a rude way, but the general fan base who weren't quite so mental to be giving all their time up to a trust, etc. So we could see what was coming down the line. And we did actually protest about pricing for the new stadium. So when Spurs moved into their current stadium, we were very vocal in saying that we thought that prices were too high. We objected to the multiple price points because we thought that would break up the existing communities from the old ground. And we're seeing the effect of that now. The club's having to work with atmosphere groups and flag groups and song groups to try and get back that atmosphere that his own pricing policy destroyed. So that's kind of ironic that they're needing to backtrack on that now for smashing up those communities in the first place. And it continues to break up those communities with its concessions policy, which is what Anthoulla was just spoken about. So going back to the move into the new stadium, the trust were actually asked to come up with a pricing matrix. And we spent an awful long time doing that, looking at different price bands, trying to deploy what we termed a stretch pricing policy, whereby the premiums will pay a top rate, but your general admission access price will be quite reasonable. And at the time, members of the ticket office team had obviously come up with their own matrix, and there were mass similarities between what we thought we should be pricing and what they thought we should be pricing, which was brilliant. The only slight snag there is that it all goes upstairs to the executive board, who then look at it and think, no, we need to be charging much more than this. So then all the matrices go out of the window and the prices go up. And there was talk unofficially amongst certain members of staff at the time that this was very toppy. We agreed it was very, very toppy, but we unfortunately didn't get the backing that we needed at that time from the rest of the fan base. I mean, people were excited about moving into a new stadium, etc., new facilities. So I get it. But we have been active in this space. And we've pushed on a lot of ticketing stuff over the last 10, 11 years. So, for example, the first year I was there, we increased the junior concession rate from under 16 to under 18. We then lobbied for a young adult category to be introduced from 18 to 21. We lobbied to keep domestic cup pricing out of categorization. So that will enable you to have those family packs and to get concessions throughout the ground and all those good things that people have been referencing on social this week, where they say the only games they can afford to take the family to now are the domestic cup games. So that was our work as well. And we lobbied for things like group stage packs in the Champions League or in the Europa League to again try and keep those prices affordable. And we obviously played a major part in the £30 away price cap. And we've consistently lobbied for a fairer concessions policy. So we've been really active in this space. So it's not like we haven't tried to push these things before. We have campaigned and we have lobbied on ticketing strongly. Now, what's different now? That's what you asked me. So what's different now, in my opinion, is that the background noise has also changed. So I think people have now reached a breaking point. There's a cost of living crisis that plays a part, and the wider attitude of society has also changed as well. In my view, people are less tolerant now, and people want to have more of a say in the way the government operates, in the way that society operates. I think people are slightly fed up of being exploited in many aspects of life. So I don't think football's on its own here. But I feel that we're approaching a stage of critical mass now, not just at Tottenham, but across the whole of the Premier League. So West Ham, Wolves and Fulham are also protesting at prices at the moment. City are protesting over broadcast times and how antisocial they are. Manchester United are protesting against their owners, and there's a lot of activity across the league. And I feel that fans are finally finding their voices and they're becoming bolder, which is fantastic. It's absolute music to my ears. I think all of us here have known for years and years that football's had more income than ever, and yet we are being asked to pay more than ever. And there comes a time when enough is enough. Now, the European Super League showed fans what power they have when they all come together and collectively stand against something. And I think COVID also gave fans a bit more confidence in their ability to act as stakeholders and show that they really have an impact on the game. Those empty stadiums, when everything was played behind closed doors and they had to pump the crowd atmosphere in, that shows you how important match-going fans are to the product that the Premier League sell and the clubs sell, and how important we are in terms of the future and the communities and the sustainabilities of our clubs. And I think people are recognising that. The fan-led review also gave fans a voice, which is amazing. So very quickly, to wrap up, long answer to your question, fans have generally had enough of being exploited up and down the country. And as I would say, revolution never comes from the top, it comes from the bottom. And fans need to get together, no more infighting. That's it now. We need to put on a united front and show them literally that we can achieve anything when we stand together.
I totally agree.
Yeah, I totally agree as well. And I suppose off the back of that last question as well, Kat, THST has been accused in the past of not being able to enforce real change in decisions made by the club. However, campaigns that are united and focused, as you were just talking about, have succeeded. The fan pressure secured the away price cap, as you mentioned before, of £30, stopped THFC furloughing its staff and killed off, as you just mentioned there brilliantly, the European Super League as well. This could be the toughest campaign of all because of the ticket prices. There's so many phenomenal stories that are on social media. Please, everybody watching and listening as well that is involved with Last Word on Spurs, please go and follow THST and look at some of them case studies, them stories. This does need focus and determination to allow the maximum number of people to exert the maximum amount of pressure. I've had a torrid time this year with this football club. You know, Sheffield United away, most of the people that are watching
I saw you there.
Spurs. Yeah, exactly. You know, Sheffield United away was an absolute nightmare for me. And then we've gone and done all the things we've done. The 3-4 managers. This is the 5th season on the trot where we've started with a new manager. I mean, this is a ridiculous way of running a football club. And then they decide to put all the pressure back on the fans after, by the way, selling our best ever striker, the club's top goal scorer record, and not even replacing him or seem to be replacing him. And all they're doing is sticking the ticket price up. And do you feel there needs to be greater belief from outside of what THST are doing and can achieve? And what help do you need, Kat, from us, the fans, to make sure that this stops now?
I mean, Anne can, if we can get some signal from her, she can explain what help she needs. But I absolutely believe in that. I think we're very quick to put up barriers and blocks, aren't we? We're very quick to say things like, oh, but the stadium sells out anyway, so no one's going to listen to you. And, you know, there's Martin Cloak, who was my co-chair, who I know is listening tonight. So hello, Martin. He wrote a fantastic article that has had something like 200,000 views. That's on the Fighting Cock. Sorry to plug Arrival. It's on their forum. And I would urge everyone to go and read it. And it really busts some of the myths around this. There's some incredibly strong provocations in there and answers to all of them. So all the usual questions that get thrown at you, which is, you know, people are always going to buy the tickets, so they're just going to replace you with someone else. There's like solid arguments as to why that isn't a great business strategy long term. There really, really are. And we can talk about all that later. So enough of picking holes with the trust. The trust are on this now. We need all your support. This is for all of our futures. I cannot tell you how important it is that as fans, we stand united. The club absolutely love it when we rip each other apart. There is nothing they like more than a fan-on-fan pile-on, because then they get away scot-free. So I've also had enough of fan blaming and fan shaming. It is not your fault for paying that money for a ticket. If you can afford it, you're probably overstretching yourself, but you shouldn't feel guilty about that. It's absolutely not your fault. It is their fault for making that choice to charge those ticket pricing. And it is a choice because they don't have to do it. So enough of that. Please, let's everyone just pull together. When we stand together, we can defeat anything. But the problem with our fan base and with fan bases up and down the country and with each other has been tribal and it's been factional. And I'm sick to death of it because we're not going to get anywhere unless people literally get on with the program, turn up at the demo. And if you can't make the demo, back it on social media, write to the sponsors, reply to every tweet that the club puts out with stop exploiting loyalty, stop ticket price rises. We have to stand together on this. We're not the enemy. Any other fan group is not the enemy. Anthoulla's not the enemy. Ricky's not the enemy. The people who have put the 102 comments in chat that I can see here are not the enemy. We need to stand together. There's only one enemy here, and they're getting off scot-free because we're too busy bickering amongst each other. So that's the end of my soapbox for now, but there will be more soapboxes.
Kat, thank you so much for that. Yeah, listen, thank you so much for that. I say lots and lots of amen to that 100%. And what I do just want to do at this point, obviously, like I say, is we give the club a right to reply, obviously, of course, on these shows. And before Ant comes in there, I know I read this out last week, the club have come back in relation to a reminder of their position for clarity, is that they are fully aware of the current rise in cost of living, and as such are only one of 3 Premier League clubs to freeze ticket prices for the current seasons. This is from the club. Our match ticket prices are comparable to other London clubs with a wide range of price points available for fans to choose from. Matchday ticket prices have been frozen since we opened the new stadium over 4 years ago, despite significant cost increases in our supply chain and high inflation. The club continues to absorb the majority of those cost rises. I can see Ant is biting to come back in. So let's go head back to Croydon Hospital for a latest update.
Yes, I feel like I'm the weather girl, going to talk about the wind and the speed of the wind. I'm really sorry, guys. First, I just want to say, Kat, that was the most amazing answer I've ever heard, and it was so inspirational, and I think everyone saw that in the chat. And shout out to the person in the chat that said Kat should replace Donna Cullen on the board. I agree. She's amazing. So I answered this last time. It's the same answer that they gave you last time. Yes, you did. Yes, the season ticket prices were frozen, and we thanked you for that. And we are happy with that and pleased with that. However, we do know that there was a genuine concern that those prices were going to be raised, and we want assurances that that's not going to happen next season at all. Then when they say about comparable pricing, I think that's really disingenuous, because actually the number of seats we have that are cheap are very minimal. So the people that are trying to access those price bands are really struggling to get those price bands. So I think it's very disingenuous to say that we are comparable to other clubs. I said it last time as well. The only ones you can compare it to are Arsenal's Category A games and Fulham's new Riverside stand. Those are the ones that compare in terms of pricing. Everything else is very affordable across the Premier League. I know obviously some other places won't say so, but because they're not in London. But honestly, the comparable pricing thing is not an answer for me. And I also think it's quite dangerous, because we do know that a lot of clubs actually benchmark their prices on our prices. So we're the top band of those prices, right? If we go up, what do you think is going to happen to the rest of the Premier League if they benchmark? That's also going to go up. So where does that stop? Where does that going up in prices stop? It stops when they can't sell out their games, right? But that's, people are going to keep paying because of that loyalty we have to our clubs. And that's the key difference here when it comes to a footballing business. It's a unique relationship. It's not a customer relationship. If you go to a restaurant, you don't like the food or it's too expensive, you go somewhere else. Exactly. You don't do that with your football club at all. And that's the key messaging we're trying to get across here. It's not fair, and they don't need to be doing it at all.
No, I agree. I just want to add to that as well. I completely agree that exploiting loyalty is exactly that. Even players come and go, but we don't. We can't. It's in our blood. So some of the stuff that we've been reading on social media over the last few days about being able to be generational, fans being generational. You're Tottenham because your parents are Tottenham or your grandparents are Tottenham. That has been eradicated at Tottenham right now. Daniel Levy, Donna Cullen, the board, you are eradicating what that is right now, because I can't afford to take my children to each and every game, or generations behind me, or whatever it might be. I've got one here, right here. This is one of my mates who is a season ticket holder next to me. He is taking. I've gifted my season ticket and my mate's season ticket to him on for this Man United game, right? And it's Ben and George and Mike Ruddle is going. It's going to cost them in total, sit in my seat and the other two seats, about 264 quid for him to take his two boys to Tottenham. Now, granted, they don't get concessions because they're adult seats that they're sitting in, and that's his choice to buy my season ticket. Essentially, I honestly, for everyone watching this, I'm embarrassed to say to Mike, mate, it's 80 odd quid. Like for my ticket, like I don't even want to charge him for that because he's my friend. That's embarrassing. And the club are doing that to us all of the time, knowing that if through the ticket exchange or whatever, the seat will get sold. Do you see what I mean? Like last season, as a little mini protest for myself, I didn't really put my seat on. If the matches I didn't want to go to, I didn't go to. I didn't even bother putting it onto the exchange. I just took the hit myself as a little bit of a protest to know that my seat 48 was in block 252, by the way, was empty. And that was my little thing. 264 quid. Some food. What's a pizza nowadays? What in the stadium? 6 quid, 8, 10 quid. That's 30 quid maybe on for some food, plus your travel. Mike, before he gets home to his wife, is going to be spanking over 300 quid just to go and watch Tottenham Manchester United game. I mean, is that honestly on? Really? I just think it's absolutely flabbergasting. And that's just one story that I know of, because that's actually happening to my friend. All these other stories that are coming through it's wrong. You've got to stop exploiting loyalty. 100%. You've got to stop it. It's out of order.
Can I come in there if I can, catch them over to you? I mean, the club claims, Kat, they need to put prices up because costs are increasing. And it also is absorbing costs, and yet food and drink costs are also increasing. Kat, in your opinion, what is the justification in increasing ticket prices, and what are the increases from your understanding?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question, Ricky. So you're correct. The club has said that it's owing to increased operational costs. But what are they? So what costs exactly are going up? I think this is something that we should be told. I think there should be an element of transparency here. Within reason, I understand they can't probably disclose their costings for everything, but within reason. So are they actually absorbing the cost of anything? Because they're definitely passing on the food and beverage costs. It's going to be a nice surprise for all of you on Saturday when you get into the stadium and see that some of the items have gone up by 21%. That's absorbing, isn't it? Marvellous stuff. They've also increased ticket pricing. Don't forget they increased the premium season ticket holders as well. It was only the GAs that they froze. So what is going on? Energy costs are now coming down, and I know they're still high, but they are now coming down. So what exactly are they absorbing the cost of? And if they are absorbing, then why are they passing it on to fans? Why are those costs being passed on to fans? So does the fact that they said they're absorbing some of the costs mean that they're making a loss? And if so, how are they defining that loss? Does it mean they're making less money than they thought they would, but they're still making money? Or they're not making quite as much money as they thought they were, but they're still making money? So what losses are the 9th richest football club in the world actually making with this whole scenario? And let's not forget, I think they're the first most profitable. So in a meeting once, the club indicated to myself and my fellow board colleagues that every income stream across every department had to demonstrate an increase year on year to the banks. That sounds like absolute nonsense to me, as long as they are repaying their debt. So if the ticket argument is that ticketing has to show an increase every year, then basically they're using our money to service their debt, and they never even asked us about it. So, it's crazy. I also just want to address that other justification of not having put match day pricing up for 4 years. So let's remember, they're starting here. They're at an incredibly high price to start with. But their other justification is we haven't increased them since we moved into the stadium 4 years ago. So let's just break that down. So we were late moving into the stadium. So we didn't go in until, late through the 2019 season. It was about April time. So only the back end of that would have been applicable. 2019-2020 was a partial season because of COVID. 2020-21 was entirely behind closed doors. So that wasn't applicable either. So 21-22 was the first full season of this pricing. Okay. So it's not like they've done it for 4 years. Every year's been a solid year and they've had 4 years of, charging you this amount. It's been literally one full season from 21 to 22 and then last year. We're also in the middle of a huge cost of living crisis. So I personally think it's indefensible that they could even try to raise ticket pricing at all, let alone by the level that they have done. Let's not forget that the broadcast money is still absolutely enormous. It's unprecedented. They rolled over the broadcast deal in COVID rather than going out to tender again. So it's still absolutely enormous. And let's not forget that the Football Supporters Association, when that deal first came in, did calculations that every club could let every fan into every game for free for the entire season and still have more money than they had the previous year. So it's an enormous amount of money. And when we've discussed the amount that they'd be raising from the ticket price increases, it's incredibly unpalatable. Now, the club are going to tell you that they've deployed stretch pricing, but what I think they mean by that is that everybody is getting stretched. There you go.
Yeah, it's difficult. When you put the facts out there like you just have, Kat, it's very, very difficult to not agree with that and to take a different stance. And that's why, coming over to you, Rick, if I can just bring you back in on that statement you read out earlier. Yeah, yes, the club have got a right to reply, but we never hear from them. Where are they? We hear a statement. We have just sold. Yeah, the board have just sanctioned our best ever striker in the football club's history to be sold for £103 million. We haven't even dipped into any of that cash whatsoever, and we're getting ticket price hikes, and we don't hear what the strategy is. And after selling Harry Kane, the one person that has to front out every single question about him is Ange Postecoglou. It's just absolutely unbelievable that they can, there's a meme that goes around, isn't there, about with Daniel Levy with the cash register under his arm running away. And it's really hard to argue with that in this situation, isn't it, Rick? It just feels like that we are just literally being stripped of it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about Lee or Rick or Kat or Anthoulla or Ben or George or Mike it doesn't matter. All that matters is, don't worry, we'll sell that out. And what's going to happen over the next kind of 3, 4, 5 years or so? It's just going to no one's going to be that kind of a Tottenham fan in their family because no one can afford to go. And that sounds ridiculous. And there's a few comments in there as well. We've got a bigger picture here. If we can tackle this together as a team, as a unit, and tackle this problem and get it reversed, which comes on to my next point, then maybe let's see what else we can do. We've already battled the European Super League, as Kat touched upon before. So I think it's really important that we do try and come together. And I suppose, Anthoulla, coming back over to you, are you surprised that the club haven't yet buckled under the pressure and the club are willing to listen? What do you actually want in return? What is a positive outcome here from the club's point of view?
Look, I'm not surprised that they've sort of lied low and they haven't actually contacted us to discuss this at all. I'd also just like to point out before I continue that they not only raised these prices, but they did so without telling the fans that they did that. They hid it in a statement, didn't they? So that's the level of sort of respect they have for the fans, that they won't come out with a statement and justify why they've increased those. We had to go back via the fan advisor board to ask why those were increased to get a statement from the club. And I just think that just adds another layer to it. And it's insulting, really, because if you're going to do that, you need to explain to the fans why you're doing so. And the same goes for us. We don't want to be doing this. We don't want to be shouting and trying to gather everyone together outside a stadium to talk about ticket pricing. We weren't consulted over this. I've spoken to some colleagues at Brentford that were actually sat down and shown the financial figures confidentially by their club. and they went through it, and then at the end they realised that actually matchday ticket pricing doesn't have much of an impact on revenue, so they froze the pricing anyway, and they're a London club. So I mean, it's sort of the level of respect you have for the fans to sit down and explain what's going to happen. But I'm really hoping we can get everyone together on Saturday and make them listen and make them engage with us, because that's what we need at the end of the day. Because if we didn't do this, I can nearly guarantee that season ticket prices would be next. To be honest, I can foresee it, and I didn't want to have that conversation in January where we were going to be told that season ticket prices are going to be raised, and then we're screwed. So
can I ask Kat to come over to you, Kat, just to nitpick at one comment here? And again, apologies, I'm coming to you, but you are very forthright, Kat, and you say it as it is. When you get comments like this, this is from an independent Spurs channel. The protest is a mild attempt to please the moderates. I'm really intrigued to know what you make of that. If you're willing to comment on that, if you want to, if you don't, I understand.
Are we pre or post watershed?
We're post watershed. That's what you want. Always something on here.
Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. I would just like to rewind back about 15 minutes ago, though, when I said we have to stop the infighting. We have to stop the bickering. We have to stop the comments about the trust do nothing. They're just a token gesture. The trust work bloody hard, and the trust get nothing in exchange for it. So I will go out on a limb on that, and I'm not a board member of the trust anymore, so I can be totally, independent in my view of that. We need to just put everything to one side for now, park it up. I think you're probably going to ask us about messaging for the actual demo. So I'll touch on that a bit later. But as I said, everyone's entitled to their opinion. Everyone can think that we have an agenda or that there's a motive here. But the motive here is actually to prevent the communities within our fan base from being prevented from attending matches, which I think is pretty cool. So it's not an attempt to please anybody. Everybody can get on board, and we'll come on to that a bit later. But I appreciate the provocation.
I wouldn't be sitting out here in the wind if I was just trying to people please. I literally wouldn't. This is literally for the good of our whole fan base. I'm doing this for the people that we are doing this. Sorry, the trust, not just me. We're doing this for people that have been priced out of football. We are doing it for those who cannot access their concessionary pricing anymore. We are doing it for those who can't bring their families to games anymore, to get the passion for the children, to bring up the next generation of fans. The pricing is, where does it stop? It can't continue like this. So we need to do something about it now. And I'm hoping it sparks something across the whole Premier League, because it's a problem across the whole board as well. But we're big culprits of it because of how high our prices are to begin with.
And just to stick with you, if I can, Kat has mentioned there about obviously clear messaging for fans that do want to get involved and ultimately help push the message that our loyalty is being exploited. How can they do that on the day, and maybe give a bit more information if you can on, obviously, of course, the demonstration of how that's going to play out?
So for those that can't make it, or
for those that can't make it, and also maybe give some understanding around the clear messaging that you would like fans to push ahead of course.
Of course. Okay. So even the people that are going to make it, you can start doing this now as well. And for the people that cannot make it, just push that line. Stop exploiting loyalty. Talk about your stories. Talk about how the club are exploiting your loyalty. Talk about how the price rises have been affecting you. Talk about concessionary areas if you haven't been able to access them. Spread it across media. Tag the club. Tag the sponsors. Message them constantly about it. There's also going to be an Instagram frame that I mentioned earlier to Lee. There's loads of ways people can get involved online if they're not coming. If you are coming, we are starting at 3:45 opposite the ticket office on the high road by the M Cafe, and it will be for about an hour. Please also go to Spurs Song Sheet's Twitter page, because they put out a nice layout timeline where we are going to start with the demo there, and then people are going to move over to the Park Lane Place, and they're going to start the positivity singing for Poch. Why did I say Poch? Ange, fucking bloody hell, why did I say that? For Ange. And then go into the ground, and then being seated for 5:15 for the TIFO to welcome Ange to the ground.
I think that's important as well, just to interrupt you there, and I think that's important as well, that that it is about positivity for Ange's first game. It's not about trying to derail him from the crazy train that he is now stepped onto. It's not about being able to kind of have that negativity around what the club. Look, let's be honest, right? We need to get behind a team against Manchester United. It's going to be a really, really tough game. I know we're going to come on to that review a bit later, but the point being is that it is a section of time to actually showcase to the board, to Tottenham Hotspur and the board, that we are not happy with the ticket price. And I think there is a lot of issues with the board, and there's a lot of issues within the football club off field. But I think targeting one specific key area, like the exploiting loyalty, like the ticket pricing, and seeing if we can get a victory here, then we can move on to other things thereafter. So it starts to build, and I think that's really, really important that we actually do that. And if I can, Kat, coming over to you, could you just explain to the viewers and the listeners why it is essential to keep one message and why the decision was made to kind of protest out of the ground? Because it is really important, isn't it, Kat, to keep that one message?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the ticketing strategy is absolutely essential. It's fundamental to the health of our football club. So Tottenham Hotspur Football Club is built on the support of frequent match attenders through Spurs being passed down through generation to generation. We've touched on this earlier. So I'm not saying that match-going fans are more important than other fans, because there isn't a hierarchy of fandom as far as I'm concerned, but I am recognising the vital role that match-going fans, regular match-going fans, play in both creating and participating in the spectacle that everybody so loves globally, and in creating the culture and the identity of the club, and in sustaining and supporting the club through thick and thin. And once you price out those regular fans, once they're priced out of attending, the very foundations of your club are threatened. So yes, they may be replaced by one-off visitors, and yes, the stadium may sell out in the good times, but it's an extremely short-term view. And what happens in the bad times? Are they still going to be there? So ticket pricing is an absolutely, and ticket strategy is a central topic that everybody should rally around. So if we don't put a halt to this exploitation now, it won't matter who's owning the club in a few years' time, because we, the lifeblood of the club, will have been drained out of Tottenham, and the club as we know it won't exist anymore. So, picking up on some of the comments in the chat as well, for some who will join us and demonstrate on Saturday, ticket pricing and policy is the core issue. And for others, it's indicative of the approach and the culture of Spurs under ENIC. It's almost another charge on the rap sheet. And both points of view are equally valid. What we need to do on Saturday is come together as one to unite on this one issue. We play solely into the club's hands if we don't. Factions, infighting amongst fans has given ENIC a way out for too long. So everyone is welcome to join the protest. And everyone should be respectful, and everyone should keep to the key messaging, whether it's part of their issue with the club or whether it is their sole issue with the club. So the key messages, once again, are stop exploiting loyalty and stop ticket price rises. We've already said throughout this podcast episode, throughout this live stream, that there's strength in unity, and that is so important. Please don't underestimate that the trust will be gauging the level of support for this by the turnout on Saturday and by what happens on social media. But it isn't only the trust that's going to be gauging the level of support by the turnout on Saturday and what happens on social media. It's the boardroom at ENIC as well. So we have to show them that we mean business here, and we have to get numbers here. And Anthoulla, I won't put words into your mouth because I don't make the decisions at the trust any longer, but things can be, in the words of Harry Kane, ramped up to another level. I don't think that having a demo on the high road is the be all and end all of this. I don't think we're going to get a decision reversed after Saturday, but I think this is the beginning and not the end. And everyone needs to get on this journey with us. So I don't want any more comments in chat about it being a token gesture to please the moderates. This is key. And whether or not your objective and your view is that this is part of the problem of ENIC, or this is the problem with ENIC, or it's indicative, or it's everything, just get together and support this one message for an hour on Saturday. We can do this. We can do this. 1 hour.
I don't think Kat could be any more clearer, could she?
Can I just add in there as well that it needs to also be respectful and it needs to stay to that clear message, because otherwise we do play into the club's hands if we start looking like we're split in opinion. So if it's unified against ticket pricing, everyone all on the same page, it is strong. It is a very, very strong message, and that's why it's so important.
Oh dear, guys, it's been a really, really, I think, clear, concise 45 minutes there on exactly what the attempt is for Saturday. I think just to be very, very clear before we look ahead to Manchester United, if we can, I feel like we've done Manchester United already by what we've discussed here in these 45 minutes. Kat or Anthoulla, do you just want to give one final clear message of where to be on Saturday, what the plan is, and again, timings, just so everybody's absolutely clear? We'll do it now, then we'll do it finally at the end of the show. Kat or Anthoulla
sure.
wants to come to that
Yeah,
point?
happy to do that. Okay. Yeah. So, when? 3:45. Where? On the high road, opposite the ticket office by the M Cafe. It's going to be for an hour. It's going to be strong messaging on ticket prices and exploiting loyalty. Bring banners if you can with those messaging on them. The more the merrier. We will have a megaphone. We'll be chanting. It'll be great. And then after that, we're going to move over to the Park Lane Plaza to sing with Spurs song sheets and Return of the Shelf. So that's when and where and what's going to happen.
Okay. Thank you so much. And like I say, towards the end of the show, we will, of course, explain how you can become, of course, a member of the THST. And Kat, can I just say, it's of course, Anthoulla as well. Kat, it is bloody amazing to see that passion shining through from you, because I know you've been sorely missed on this show. And I honestly mean that. I think we get a lot of comments saying, love to get Kat back on. So it's been an absolute pleasure having you on, Kat. And again, I think it's really important to make that point, Kat, as you've done throughout this show so far, that the infighting does need to stop. And everybody does need to come together, because ultimately, if we don't come together, we can't tackle with not only this issue, but the bigger ones that we know fans want to do, Kat. And I'm sure you just want to maybe, I don't want to emphasise that again, Kat, just how important that is, that we do all come together and we can't allow anything to derail just this first step in the road to what we hope is going to be a number of different topics that we do need to argue, Kat. Would you agree?
Literally, we just need to put aside whatever differences we have for an hour on Saturday. I'm sure we can all do that. It's it really shouldn't be too much for anyone. You can all carry on thinking what you think. I'm not trying to tell anybody. I'm not trying to thought control people. But for heaven's sake, for 1 hour on Saturday, we can do this. Whether you're fully ENIC out, whether you're fully against ticket pricing, whether you're somewhere in the middle, we're all Spurs fans. We're all being exploited. All of our loyalty is being exploited. It doesn't matter which faction you come from. Let's just kill that for Saturday for 1 hour from 3:45 until 4:45. Then we can all go back to hating each other again.
Fantastic. Okay, what we are going to do, we are going to go for our break of the show. But just want to massive thank you. There's over 1,000+ of you watching us live here on this last one on Spurs. Look, again, a very, very serious topic we've obviously discussed, and we are still discussing that. Of course, we're joined by Kat Law, back on last one on Spurs. Go on with Miss Kat on this show. We're delighted to also have back on the show Vice Chair of the Tottenham Supporters Trust in Anthoulla, and of course my main man Lee McQueen back on the show. Look, don't also be forgetting the fact that we have got a game on Saturday, a huge, huge game for Tottenham Hotspur.
I'm looking forward to it, Rick. I'm looking forward to it. Smash Man United. Let's go.
Well, I mean, this is the thing, isn't it? There, of course, like I say, is a game on Saturday. What I do want to outline as well before I come on to the game is that there will be a number of different new things, as a lot of Spurs fans will take their seats back at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And can I just say, guys, when I do bring this into context, Kat, Anthoulla, feel free if you do want to make a comment on what I'm going to read out after this. So the club have, of course, been working away during the summer. They've attempted to listen to as much fan feedback as possible around the matchday experience. And I've implemented a few different things that you'll see ahead of Saturday. So following consultation with fan groups over the summer and based on feedback review, there's been a revamped hype for the VT to be playing on our big screens after the warm-ups. Glory, glory, Tottenham Hotspur will be played where the teams are in the tunnel to get our fans in full voice. The teams will come out to the ever-popular Duel of Fates. The final teams will be read by one of our own in Paul Coyts. A live trumpeter will be delivering the opening bars of "Oh When the Spurs" from the South Stand just before the match kicks off. And our friends over at THST Flags will have another fan-led TIFO display in our South Stand, organised by those wonderful guys with the words Welcome to N17, held aloft as the teams emerge from the tunnel. You can, of course, support future fan-led THST flag displays by purchasing items and volunteering to help them on match days, and that's at, of course, THFC flags. Please go and check those do go and check those guys out. Of course, we are having the return of the drummer, and from what I understand, 64% of you recently surveyed asked for the return of the drummer on a match days, and for those percentage, you have got what you want. And as part of the club's work with the Return the Shelf group, they'll be trailing a drummer within the South Stand for the coming season. There, of course, is the new Your Match Day playlist. That's in collaboration with Spurs Song Sheets, where they have a redefined match day playlist with a greater variety of music being played around the concourses to get you in the mood for the game, plus a live DJ for the Stadium Bowl. Rest seating, so working with Spurs' ability and taking again on board fan feedback, the club have now installed the rest seating throughout the concourses and for ambulant disabled supporters less able to stand for a prolonged period. So there is some, again, I've got to say, there is some really important things and good things going on behind the scenes at Tottenham, and of course the build up for the game on Saturday. Kat, did you want to cut them in there? I can see you fighting away.
I'm just quite puzzled that the club have bothered to send you a very long piece to read out, which basically tells us that we're paying for our own TIFO, which we are, because that TIFO is fan funded. It then gives you a playlist. I don't think that's going to cost them any extra money, is it? It then goes on to list a load of waffle, but then why on earth are they charging £103 for a ticket? What is this? What of those costs are they actually explaining here? How have they justified their ticket price-wise? Because we've already decided that they're only having to engage with fan groups and atmosphere groups because they smashed all the communities when we moved from White Hart Lane to Wembley and back into the new stadium because of their pricing policy. So I'm embarrassed for you, Ricky, having to waste airtime on your show with that absolute load of tripe. And I would say, hello, Tottenham, try better, because it's not washing. Why don't you actually address the issue here, which is why you've put your ticket prices up? What is your justification? Because there isn't one. And don't use a fan-funded TIFO as an excuse, because that's a load of bollocks. Thank you. I'll go back on mute now.
I do not know where to go from here. I don't. Lee, can I just come over to you? I think, look, again, subjective, many will obviously pick up on a lot of those things and be quite happy with the fact the club are trying to make improvements ahead of the new season for the stadium. There are a couple of things I do want to just draw attention to, which I think are importantly. One, of course, is that obviously we had the pleasure last year, me and you, of interviewing Jan at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, of course, for the, as we saw, the club sponsored sixth form college. They've again had an outstanding year of A-level results. That, I have to say, let's be very, very clear, that is part of the Tottenham project I want to add. And then finally, Destiny Doji was a special guest as the club hosted an under-12s football tournament. Again, bringing really, again, that focus on kind of knife crime in the area. A really important topic that I think we shouldn't dismiss at all. And again, I understand there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of frustration, of course, around obviously what the club can do more of. But do you worry, Lee, that, I mean, like I say, some of the good things that I'm reading out there are kind of being lost because of the frustration and anger, as Kat has alluded to, around the ticket prices? Is that the problem here, that a lot of the good stuff the club are doing is unfortunately being lost at the moment?
Yeah, and the club do some really good stuff. I mean, we were privileged, weren't we, last year to go and meet Jan and have a tour of LAT. And they've had some fantastic A-level results, and you know they are doing some really good stuff. Which, let's be honest, the London Borough of Haringey is what, the third poorest borough in the UK. It's certainly deprived area. I think Ollie Leach said it earlier in the comments ages ago when we talked about ticket prices, and this is where Kat keeps coming back again to the ticket prices. Is that actually that is the start of the root of all evil, because you're essentially pricing out the local people. You know the club are basically going, we've built this fantastic sixth form, and this is what we're doing to some of the local area. But then they're pricing the local residents out of even going to see them play football, because that doesn't feel like it's their main priority. Do you see? Because it's almost like they are shooting themselves in the foot in a lot of the stuff that they're doing. I think the PR and communications is abysmal from the club. I think it's abysmal. Like, we don't get to hear about the really good stuff, and we always get to see the really bad stuff. And I'm also talking about the stuff on the pitch as well over the last few seasons, as all of us would agree with. So, you know, I think they are shooting themselves in the foot. And, you know, there's some fantastic comments in the live comments today, and some brilliant interaction with the show about the wider issues. And I want to make it clear, like, you can't sell your best ever striker for 103 million. That is the legacy of Daniel Levy now. That, in my opinion, Rick, and I know this is what this show's about, but for me, that is the legacy. So whatever Daniel does now, and so many people in the comments, he probably doesn't care. He literally doesn't give a monkeys about what I think or what anybody else thinks or the stadium goes. He knows that I'm going to shell out my 1,250 quid for my season ticket, GA season ticket, which is probably, as Anthoulla said, they're going to go up 20% next season. Because of all of the stuff that's been going on. He knows that these people are going to pay. If I don't go to my seat cost in a Cat A game is at 88 quid, right, for my season ticket seat against Manchester United. If I don't go and I don't sell it on the exchange or whatever, somebody else is going to go. Do you see what I mean? And they kind of know that. But for me, and it's not for me to comment on other people's financial situations, I can afford, and I'm not rich at all, but I can afford on the odd occasion to not go to Spurs as a little mini protest for my seat, 88 quid. I'm going to leave it blank. But you can't expect 60,000 people to do that. Like, you can't, because they've already spent, or 48,000 season ticket holders that they saved up to get their season ticket. They're not going to do that. For some people, it's acceptable to do that. For others, it's just you can't. In the same way that it's unacceptable for some fans to pay 30, 40, 50, 80, 90 quid for a match ticket. They just can't do it. One of our own, Christina Zander, said earlier, didn't she? Like, I can't afford to go anymore. Like, she's on the show, like, because of being priced out. I read the statement out earlier about Mike and Ben and George. It's very expensive. They're doing it, but it's very expensive to do. So when Kat talks about coming together, we've got to find a way between all of us that actually hits that mark. But for me, you can't keep justifying. I've given not this up to me to give them anything. Well, they don't care about me, right? But by the way, no one cares. Like, the board does not care about me. But I've given them I've defended them. I've taught, great stadium. I've did this. But this season for me is done. The decisions they make, the recruitment they make, the decisions they've made on the pitch. And I've always said, off the pitch, they've done some fantastic decisions. But on the pitch, it's been absolutely abysmal. The recruitment has been absolutely woeful up until the point that we're here. We've had Paratici, who's been banned. We've had Antonio Conte walking out. We've had 5 different managers within the first 5 seasons. We've just sold our star striker. And by the way, whether or not you like it or not, down the road, they're spending record money on record transfer fees after just going for a title challenge. And they finished up 20 plus points above us, and they don't seem to give an absolute toss about who we are and what we're doing. And guess what? On Saturday, we're going to get there, we're going to protest, we're going to go into the stadium, we're going to sing our hearts out, we're going to get behind our team, because that's who we are. Does that make sense? That's who we are. We are Tottenham Hotspur fans, and we are Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. And I said it on the last show about Harry Kane. He is the club. People saying he's not the club, he's not a one man bigger than the club. He is the essence of the club. Who doesn't want to grow up as an 11-year-old playing for Tottenham for virtually your entire career and becoming a superb world-class striker? That is Tottenham. And they are Daniel Levy and Aning and the board, you are ruining this. You are taking the soul of our club away from us, and we want it back. And that's why we are here tonight. That's why we're talking about it. And we're not saying anything other than listen to us. We are your paying customers, if that's what you want to call us, and we are saying we are not happy. So change something.
Lee, I don't think you can be any fairer than that. I think you've said everything. Obviously, I do agree. Look, it has to be said on this fact. Look, I think we'll try it again. We are going to go for our final break of the show, and then we will be discussing the Manchester United game. We are joined by the wonderful Lee McQueen, our crazy instructor, conductor, the runner of Last One on Spurs. We're delighted to be welcoming back to the show. Man, I think Kat has used pretty much all the lines she's had the last 6-7 years when she's been doing the show on Last One on Spurs. She's been amazing. The wonderful Kat Law's back. Kat, thank you so much. And we're delighted to have Anthoulla back, Vice Chair, of course, of the Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust. Right. Tottenham Hotspur do, of course, return back home this weekend. Ange Postecoglou's first game in charge. Look, I think parking the situation if I can for the moment just to one side, guys. I hope you won't mind me saying that. Look, Spurs did start life without Harry Kane in a pretty positive light, I would say. Of course, with that 2-2 draw against Brentford at the weekend. And obviously now we have Spurs' first home game of the season where, look, I think there might be concerns over how Tottenham are going to attack Manchester United with the blunt forward line that we showed last week against Brentford. But Lee, give me your thoughts about how we go into this Manchester United game in your opinion. Are you going into it with confidence or nerves? How do you sense it going into Saturday's game?
But I've now got to switch off, right, from all of the kind of the rioting stuff that we've been ringing out today. Look, I'm pretty positive, to be honest. Like I said, I was so negative after the Sheffield United game last season. I've been so negative. And I said in a closed season, I want to go back to being positive again. I'm just talking about the footballing side of things now. Ange Postecoglou is an absolute breath of fresh air. He feels like a Tottenham manager. Does that make sense? I don't know. It's a vibe thing. I think you said it on the last show, Rick. There's something about him that feels like that he's the right sort of man for the job. The way he talks, the way he communicates, is brilliant. I mean, I'm absolutely loving the front foot attacking football. I mean, I think that's probably one thing that all of us, to go back to Kat's point, that can we be united all together? That's probably one thing that we are all united on. Is I don't think anyone wants to see low block, park the bus type football that we've been seeing for the last kind of couple of years. So I'm positive on that. I'm positive on certain players coming in. I don't think we've done enough, and I'm sure we'll get to that. And obviously we've sold our star man, but I think Maddison is an absolute gold. He's an absolute gem. He's going to be brilliant for us. Basuma, he just looks like a completely different player playing under this manager. And then we've got some exciting signings. A Doggy I thought was really good. I thought Van der Ven had a decent debut as well. And look, Vicario's getting a lot of stick, but actually there's I can't remember who it was. So forgive me, buddy, for not giving you the credit. But somebody put it out there on Twitter. Sorry. X, whatever it's called now, on social media, the 4.5 minutes worth of Vicario's entire involvement in the game. I thought he did all right, to be fair. I know he's getting a lot of stick, but I thought he actually did all right. And it was only his first ever game. So I think the thing is, and there's a lot of people saying this, but I'm not sure they actually believe it or want to believe it. But here's the thing, I'm going to say it as well, right? We have to be patient, and that does not go down with us Spurs fans because we've been being patient for 22 years, Daniel, yeah? But we've been patient for such a long period of time that we don't want to be. But I think we are going to get, I was going to say a horrible word then. We are going to get ruined by some teams. We are. There's no doubt about it. We are going to take a couple of bludgeons or a couple of beatings. But I also think we're going to give some out as well. And it's going to be very entertaining on the way. And I called this club the Crazy Train back when Jose Mourinho got appointed. And it definitely is the Crazy Train. And we're going to be doing some ups and downs on this season as well. But going into the Manchester United game, I thought they were woeful the other night. I mean, the only worry, I suppose all Spurs fans probably thinking this as well, the only worry we got is Rashford in behind, right? Because of his pace, like Bruno Fernandes putting a through ball, Rashford in behind, our high line of defence. But I think we can go out there and be proud, make some noise, make it a fortress. Let's do that cliche. I love the cliche of the fortress. Make it a fortress. And go and turn it on with Manchester United. I think there's one thing about Ange Postecoglou that is fact. He will not change the style of football. He will not do it. And that is something that we have to be brave. To dare is to do. And I think all them things, the club mottos, are who we want to be, the core values of the club, Ange will bring and he will drive. So I'm actually looking. I'm not in the UK at the moment, so I can't obviously watch it, but I'll be watching it live in a bar somewhere. I'll be really looking forward to seeing how we perform on a pitch, Rick.
Kat, I think I'm over to you. I think we've skipped one manager since you've last come on last one on Spurs, such as the transition of this football club. Many would say probably for your benefit, it was probably best we did skip him because I would love to learn your thoughts on Antonio Conte towards the end. So we've saved ourselves a conversation there. But going into this game at the weekend, I think James Maddison has already struck the hearts of many, many Tottenham fans. I think a player that many feel can be relatable to. How do you see this one panning out against Manchester United? Are you excited? First game back at home?
Oh, God. Oh, I'm so long in the tooth now, Ricky. I'm excited and also absolutely dreading it. I was at Brentford, so that was nice because it was everybody in the concourse was like, "Happy New Season!" Like you haven't seen them for ages, and that's you miss the people. So I loved Brentford because I loved seeing people that I hadn't seen for a few months. And actually, we had no running water. So you couldn't flush a toilet or wash your hands or anything that you might need to do involving basic sanitation. So shout out there to the G-Tech Community Stadium. But I thought the first half was very good. I was very entertained. I thought there were some controversial decisions, but I thought we looked sharp and we looked energetic and we looked more exciting than we had done under the deathly Conte ball. You were very lucky not to have me on when he was our manager. So this could go either way. I'm a real fan of Ange. I know absolutely nothing about him as a football manager, but he's very emotionally intelligent. And I really like what he says in press conferences. And if he wants to come and borrow our megaphone at the demonstration, just nip out of the dressing room, come over and do that beforehand. He'd be very welcome. I know how much he believes in the value of fans. So I don't think that that's too far removed from that. So I think we definitely deserve to support him. I think it's going to be a really exciting game. I'm on board with what I expect his brand of football to be. I have no idea which way the game's going to go. We could win 4-0. We could lose 4-0. We could draw 4-4. I don't know. But, I'm not a betting person, so don't ask me for predictions. But, I'm verging on the 51% excited, 49% dreading, I think.
Kat, it's customary at the end. I've got to ask you for a prediction. I'm so sorry. I actually feel terrible that I've got to tell Kat something she's got to do because I wonder what's going to happen. Let me come over to you. I think, look.
Ricky, you muted yourself, mate.
Muted yourself, mate.
It's one of those evenings. To come over to you, one thing I think we do obviously have in common between me and you, obviously, is the Greek background where Ange is very much, I think, already starting to feel the love from the Spurs fans. And likewise, that's going backwards and forwards already. I think he's been quite surprised, Ange, just how already Spurs fans have taken to him. But by the fact, obviously, Spurs have since obviously gone through before him 2 or 3 managers that's never really got the fans, never really got the emotion, that connection. It's mad that the guy's been here for a matter of weeks, months, and he's already somehow forged this unbelievable connection. And with no disrespect to him, he's done absolutely nothing yet, but he's just said some really nice words. I think, as Kat said there, he's really emotionally intelligent in terms of knowing what to say, how to say it, and bringing fans with him. It's interesting because, again, I don't want to go back into this because I'm going to lead myself down another garden path here, but I think if people see what Ange said before on ticket pricing, I think he was talking about Liverpool's ticket pricing. I would love to know if he was asked a question in that press conference beforehand, what his thoughts would be on it, because ultimately, it'd be very far removed from what the club was saying. But I mean, overall, Ange, going into this game at the weekend, how do you feel about it, Manchester United?
Yeah, I mean, I also want someone to ask him about ticket prices and see what he thinks about it too. So any media that are listening to this that are going to be there, please do ask him. I'm very intrigued after reading his quotes in his book, to be honest. And I agree, he's made an instant connection. Something that really he gained even more respect for me was his decision to take off Romero after that header. I thought that was and what he said afterwards about that when it came to just go, you need to listen to the medical team in that situation. I thought that was really classy, really amazing. Going into the Man United game, I'm actually quite excited just to enjoy football, to be honest. I think just really simple. I don't care about the result too much because I know it's going to take some time to get the new structure and new sort of way of playing and attacking football. So I'm just really excited to see what would happen. But I'm in the same boat as Kat, where I don't actually know what's going to happen. I think we will probably concede as much as we score. So I think it's going to be quite a high-scoring game, in my opinion. So yeah.
Like I think there's a lot of plenty of excitement around it. And just if I can, just have a Man United perspective on it. I mean, Lee, United are a really funny team, aren't they, under obviously Ten Hag. They've already got to see a trophy over the line. They did finish in the top 4 last season, but there are a lot of occasions where they really failed to deceive. I mean, you kind of referred to it there, Lee, that essentially that opening game for them against Wolves, they were really poor for around 65 minutes to 70 minutes, and they got themselves a goal. Really arguably should have actually considered the penalty towards the end of the game. They're Onana. I'm not sure how they got away with that, quite frankly.
Old Trafford. Old Trafford and the refs, maybe. I don't know. I mean, even the PGML come out afterwards and said, we apologised and said, yeah, it was a blatant penalty and you should have had one. But it doesn't really help it after the event, does it?
No.
There's shades of Pedro Mendes back in the day, you Spurs fans. If you know your recent history, of course, you know it was over the line by about 2.5 foot, and we still didn't get a goal back then. So, shades of that. Some things never change, do they, Rick?
They don't indeed. They don't. And I'll say against United, really, in terms of some of their injury doubts at the moment, we understand Rasmus Højlund isn't expected to be fit for the game. He still recuperates from a back injury. Lissandro Martinez is a doubt as well for United. And Tyrell Malacia definitely out for them. I mean, look, United really, it's been a fixture. Hasn't been massively kind to Tottenham down the years in terms of a home fixture or an away fixture, I will say. So it'd be lovely for Ange to get that first win, wouldn't it? I mean, against United would be really special, Lee.
I think sometimes we play the name and we don't play the players in front of us.
I agree.
Especially as fans, right? If this was Man City coming to us, who've just won the treble, by the way, and got like the cyborg Haaland up front, we'd all be sitting there going, yeah, I fancy us, because they don't ever beat us at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. They've never even scored a goal. Yeah, Man United come to town, and we'll remember the 3-0 up at half-time, and we still lost 5-3. There's some of the ones for the younger viewers and all that sort of stuff. You know what I mean? So I think sometimes as the fans, we play obviously the name is what I mean. We play the name. Obviously, we play the team, but we play the name rather than the actual players that are in front of us. And actually, if you go up against them, I personally think the way that we've approached the game is the Ange way. And I think if we approach that game and we're on it, I don't think we're clinical enough the other day, against Brentford. And my only disappointment really was, obviously we didn't win the game. I think if we'd had another 2-3 shots on target, like we had been doing in pre-season, I think we win that game. And I think, to have 80% possession or whatever it was, ridiculous in the second half. This is actually mind-blowing, even from, Anthoulla, you mentioned Poch's name earlier, like even from Poch days, we're only doing 60% possession. So to get that amount of ball and to have that at home, it's just so different to sit in that stadium and have the football and be able to cheer and have, it's a different vibe. So I think we approach the game in that way. I think we go after them. And I think we have a good old Harry Redknapp. We're going to have a go today. And I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to go and have a go. And actually, if we end up losing, like Kat, like you said, if we end up drawing 4-4, if we lose 4-3, but we've given it a damn good go, that's a much better effort than losing 2-0 because we've, parked the bus and had a low block and had one shot on target. I thought they were woeful the other night. I didn't watch all the game, I have to be honest. I watched the highlights, I saw the stats. I thought they were lucky. I thought they were woeful. I thought Wolves outplayed them. And given the fact that Gary O'Neill's been in that job for about 3 minutes and sold most of their best players, I thought that, it goes to show you, if you go and have a go and do what you're good at, the Premier League is relentless. And if everyone can beat everyone, there's no reason why we can't go there and come home, go to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and turn them over. So that's what I'm going for. I'm going to say that we're going to turn them over, mate.
Amazing. Lee, let's get a prediction with you to start, mate. What are you going to go for?
6-0 United. That highline's a joke, mate. Rashford's getting a hat-trick. No, I'm going to go. We will concede. I'm going to go 3-1 Tottenham Hotspur, and I'm going to bag Richie and Sonny to get a goal, and Rashford will score. 3-1.
Okay, mate. Thank you so much. Just a brief update on team news that you will get more, of course, in Friday's press conference with Ange Postecoglou. We understand Ryan Sessegnon, Brian Hill, Bentancur, of course, still remain out for Tottenham injuries. While we won't surprise you, Tungan Ndombele is a major doubt. I don't think we'll be seeing him again in a Spurs shirt. We'll be hoping for positive news regarding the return of Christian Romero, who, of course, was substituted last week with that head injury. And can I just say, Ange, just the way he handled that situation with Romero, again, just probably another indicator already as to why we absolutely are falling in love with this man. Just, again, could you imagine Conte or Jose taking a player off and sacrificing potentially a result? It just wouldn't happen, would it? It just wouldn't happen. I mean, I know we might have been up in arms at the time, but again, just loves his players.
Jose, when he was at Chelsea, didn't Jose, wasn't it Jose that had a proper row with the medical staff on the pitch? And it all started to go from there. And I know there was other things that were going on that we won't mention, essentially, for stuff. But, he was basically saying, what are you doing? You can't take that person off. Like, there's no way that he would handle that in that same situation.
No, amen. Like I say, so those are currently where we stand on the injury news. We'll wait to find out, of course, if Amara is absent. If he is absent, there is a chance that Eric Dyer would return to the Spurs side to partner Mickey van der Ven at central defence. But listen, we shall wait to see how that pans out. I want to say, if I can, let's go to Kat next to firstly thank her for coming back on the show. And Kat, this is why Kat doesn't do this much anymore. We have to ask Kat for a prediction. Her favourite subject, always a last one on Spurs. Kat, I'll let you decide what you want to start with. Maybe get the prediction first, and that way people forget about it when you go on your epic next rant.
Am I doing another rant? Oh, lovely.
You go for it.
I hate predictions because I'm always wrong. I think it's going to be a high-scoring draw, so I'm going to stick with my 4-4.
Amazing. And can I just say, Kat, it's been lovely to have you back on. And I don't know whether you want to give one final rallying cry for the importance of course, being there for the weekend, Kat.
Yeah, I mean, there's basically nowhere else that you need to be at 3:45 on Saturday other than opposite the ticket office outside the M Cafe when Anthoulla's got a megaphone. We'll have some banners and you're going to get a free badge. So that's going to be amazing. But seriously, it is all about standing together and trying to fight I will call it greed, basically the exploitation of our fans. So no more important place to be than that on Saturday. Let's all stand together and unite, and together we can achieve a lot, hopefully.
Amazing. And Kat, I think Lee asked you from the outset, I know you're very, very busy at the moment, of course, with what you're doing with the FSA. If anyone wants to follow you personally, if they've got any questions or queries around that, you might not want them to. Do you want to give an indicator where people can find you, if they want to find you?
I'm sure people have got better things to do with their time, but they can find me at...
You'll be surprised, Kat.
Yeah, at Hotspur71. So it probably won't apply to Tottenham too much this season, but as we move hopefully back into European competition, if any fans have any issues or questions around our European fixtures or anything to do with European club competition, then that kind of comes under my umbrella at Football Supporters Europe. But similarly, if anybody has any issues with anything that's within the FA's remit or anything at a national level, so that might be broadcasting, that might be VAR, etc., then you can come into me at the FSA as well. So you can get hold of me at Catspur71. And for the joy of the nation, I'm not just here for Spurs fans now. I am here for all of you English football fans. So there you go.
I can hear Kat wild celebrations in box parks around the UK. Kat is now going national, not just Spurs. Can you hear that delight? I can hear it. It's coming through my rooftops here. Kat, I must say from all of us, it's been an absolute pleasure having you back on Last One on Spurs. Please don't be a stranger. We send you all our love. We're loving you on.
Thank you, Ricky and Lee. Thank you.
And lots of love for you, Kat, I must say, tonight. They'll be bombarded, I tell you, at the home games. They'll be demanding the autograph of Kat, I tell you. And let's close it with you. Firstly, can I just say, for our listeners on audio, you won't have seen her, but you will have heard and has been outside in this last hour and a half, outside Croydon Hospital, where, can I just add, like I say, bless her, like a lot of us here, like Normal does a day job. And for her passion, of course, outside of that is Tottenham Hotspur and being the vice chair of the Supporters Trust. And again, I just want to make that point. These guys, it's voluntary. They're not paid for the roles they do outside of football, outside of their day job. So can I just again say the point that they're here to make us all be in a better place with the club, with what's going on. And without these guys, we'd have less of a chance of trying to fight the good fights that we are trying to do. So, Anth, on behalf of all of us on Last One Spurs, I want to say a massive, massive thank you and just give you a final opportunity to let people know if they want to become part of the trust, how they can do that. And unfortunately, I have to ask you as well for a prediction for the weekend. So you choose what order you want to go with. I'd probably say prediction first because people will forget about that one and they'll focus on the main two. But up to you in what order you want to do that in.
Well, thank you very much for that really kind speech, Ricky. I really appreciate it. My prediction, I'll stick to what I said the other day, and that's 3-2 to Tottenham. And then to find us, you can find us on Twitter, which is at THST Official, or you can email us, info@thstofficial.com. You can go on our website, which is the same, thstofficial.com, and you can sign up to become a member through there as well. You can sign up for free, or you can pay to be a full member, which is £10 for adults, essentially. And just one final push, please do come on Saturday. You know, even if, let's say, you don't agree or you want to talk about it, we will be there to have those conversations and we are there to listen. So, you know, turn up, speak to us. We'll be handing out flyers, we'll be handing out badges, we'll have a megaphone, we'll have banners. So, yeah, it'd be really great to meet loads of you and see you guys there.
And I want to say a massive thank you for coming back on. Kat, likewise. Lee, thank you so much, mate. I think, Lee, just to kind of finish it, again, if you don't mind, let me finish it with you, Lee. Look, I think the show is, again, why we love doing Arsenal and Spurs. Of course, we're here after every game. We're here providing, of course, analysis. We're here, obviously, to preview a lot of games. But I think these are the topics that fans, of course, like us, we're very lucky as being one of the leading shows now, most listened to, I can say, in terms of the top lots of podcasts out there.
Most listened to Spurs podcast, Sam. Talk to me.
We're very, very proud of that. And I think, again, it's importantly that we don't allow these messages to escape just how important the work that these guys do, and ultimately try and ram it home that these guys need support from the outside. We need Spurs fans to come on board, because without that, it's going to be very, very hard to try and win these kind of battles for future ones to come, Lee, which I'm sure you'll want to allude to in this final piece for you.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I think, Kat summed it up perfectly earlier. I think that there has been a lot, I've been involved in it as well. Like, a lot of kind of, not fighting, but kind of in different opinions amongst the Spurs fans of how we should go and tackle. I think the one key thing for all of us is that we do love our football and our football club. And I think the other key thing is that many of us, not all of us, but many of us think the soul is being ripped out of our football club, and ticket pricing is a massive part of that, if not the part of that. And I think it was about, a lot of the different separate groups that are out there pushing their own messages, and rightly, and good for them, absolutely rightly so, coming together and pushing this one message behind a already formed, already manifested, if that's an even word, board of THST that have got direct interaction and access to the football club's board. It just makes sense to me that should be, because I'm not telling everyone what to do, but that could be the best possible vehicle for everybody to get behind. And that's for me is why we're backing THST. We've always been admirers of what you guys and girls do in the trust, and there's a lot of hard work that goes on behind the scenes. What I love about the trust, and Anthoulla, obviously you and I, we haven't interacted as much because obviously you're fairly new, but myself, Martin, and Kat, we used to see each other down the stadium quite a lot. And when you start talking to people on a personal level, like on a human fan-to-fan level, you then start realizing how much hard work goes in between it. It's not. Oh, there's my doglet. Here he is, Marley, getting involved, getting involved in the show, mate. You all right? Yeah. So I think there's massive admiration for that, and I think that at the end of the day, when all said is done, everybody wants a fair ticket price to go and watch their team play front foot, attacking, brilliant football, and to blow teams away, to get really good players into our squad to win trophies, and to be successful and to compete. I think that's probably a fair assumption, isn't it, Rick? I don't think anybody wants us to fail. I don't think anybody, I don't think anybody wants us to lose. Obviously, rival fans and whatever, and it's just getting to that point of going, right, how can we all do it together? How can we all do it together? And the coin there, to be fair to the coin, whoever the coin is, he or she has been asking, can they wear a dinosaur? Don't bark. Can they wear a dinosaur costume for the protest? And it's a serious question from the coin. So are they allowed? Can he or she rock up? We won't know if it's we just say they. Can the dinosaur hold up a sign saying "Stop exploiting loyalty"? Because they can wear whatever they like. Get the message across about stop exploiting loyalty and stop ticket price rises. You can wear whatever you like. I'm a they. Perfect. The coin is a they. So you can wear a dinosaur outfit if you so wish.
What we mustn't do, though, is attract from the scene, have an animal park down there. We're everyone wearing different animal costumes, because that'll be a very, very weird process.
I've already got my dog in here as well, yeah. Marley.
Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. I want to say, again, Kat, thank you so much. Ab, thank you so much. Lee, thank you so much. There you go.
Cheers,
look, really, really important. This coming Saturday, 3:45. We've made it very clear. Outside, I believe, the M Cafe, that is where this demonstration will be starting. Make sure you guys that are going to the game, please do go and check that out. Please stand, of course, with our wonderful friends over at THST. Make a stand. And I say, let's hope it's the first of many battles that we can win. Really, really important. Again, guys, please keep safe, keep well. We are back with you for post-match reaction after the game. And as always, come on, you Spurs.